So when you think of Europe, what comes to mind? Is it just a collection of countries you see on a map, or do you get a sense there's something, well, more profound there?
That's a great question. Maybe a kind of surprising global influence woven right into its fabric.
Exactly, that hidden depth.
And that's really the heart of our deep dive today. Our mission, essentially, is to take your sources on Europe, sift through them, and pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights.
Giving you a shortcut, basically.
Precisely. A shortcut to being genuinely well-informed
Mhm.
about this incredibly multifaceted continent. We'll look at its huge historical impact, its really unique geography, the dynamic political landscape.
And, of course, the life and culture within it.
Absolutely, the vibrant stuff that defines it.
Okay, let's maybe unpack this a bit. Starting with history, there's that famous phrase, right? The sun never sets on the British Empire.
Ah, yes, a classic.
And it wasn't just a catchy saying, was it? It reflected a time when Europe, or at least European powers, pretty much ruled vast swaths of the world,
It really did. You had European voyagers exploring, colonizing.
leaving a massive mark everywhere. On history, geography, language. You see it even today.
Culture, food. The list goes on. The use of English in India, for instance, is such a clear example of that lasting legacy.
Yeah, a direct line back to that era.
And it's quite remarkable how central Europe has been in shaping world politics. I mean, think about it. Both world wars started there,
The biggest conflicts in modern history.
right? And beyond just war, it was also the cradle for these hugely influential um, opposing political ideas. Democracy on one hand, communism on the other.
That's a staggering amount of influence packed into one continent, isn't it?
It truly is, and it goes way beyond politics and conflict.
Like the Industrial Revolution, that kicked off in Europe too.
Exactly, you had the coal readily available.
And the invention of the steam engine, that changed everything.
It really did.
Uh.
Places like Lancashire in England suddenly became these enormous hubs for textiles. It fundamentally shifted how the world made things, how society was organized.
And that spirit of, well, radical change didn't just stop with factories, did it?
Not at all. Europe's role in scientific invention, in innovation more broadly, is just foundational. It wasn't only about single breakthroughs.
He was more like building the entire system.
Yes, laying the groundwork for whole fields of study. You think of Archimedes and his basic principles way back,
Yeah.
then Galileo, Sir Isaac Newton, really establishing modern science.
James Watt with the steam engine we mentioned.
Charles Babbage, thinking about computers ages ago, Michael Faraday and electricity.
Morse, Louis Braille, Alexander Graham Bell.
Marie Curie's work on radiation, X-rays. The Wright brothers, though American, did key early demonstrations in Europe. And even Tim Berners-Lee giving us the World Wide Web, a Brit working at CERN.
Wow, that's quite a list. These weren't just products, they were like fundamental shifts.
Exactly. Frameworks that enabled global progress. And, just to add another layer, the very first modern Olympic Games started in Athens, Greece.
A reminder of those deep roots. Okay, so history, innovation. Now, here's something that always gets me. The actual size of Europe.
Ah, yes. This is where it gets genuinely interesting.
It's the sixth largest continent, right? Only Australia is smaller.
That's correct.
Yet, and this is the kicker, it's 3 times the size of India. That feels counterintuitive somehow.
It does, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
we often think of it as geographically compact. But yeah, 3 times India. It's significant.
So geographically speaking, Europe and Asia are technically one big landmass, Eurasia.
That's the geological reality, yes.
Yeah.
Eurasia. But they're almost always treated as separate continents,
Why is that? Mainly.
primarily due to their very distinct cultures.
Yeah.
That's been the key differentiator historically and, well, practically.
Makes sense. And it's crowded, right?
It is. It's the second most densely populated continent right after Asia. And think about its spread from 35 degrees north latitude way up to 73 north.
So warm Mediterranean all the way to the Arctic.
Precisely. And longitude-wise, it stretches from 25 west to 65 east. So it's entirely in the northern hemisphere, but it actually crosses both the eastern and western hemispheres.
Right, because the prime meridian, the Greenwich meridian, runs through London.
Exactly. That huge geographical range has a massive impact on its climates and landscapes.
And one of the most defining features has to be that coastline. It's incredibly rugged, isn't it? Often called the peninsula of peninsulas.
That's a perfect description.
Yeah.
And it holds the record, the longest coastline of any continent.
That's amazing.
And that incredibly indented coastline, all those nooks and crannies, well, that's been a total game changer throughout history.
How so?
It created countless natural harbors. And that's a huge reason, maybe the main reason.
Yeah.
Europe absolutely flourished in international trade for centuries. Easy access to the sea from so many points.
Makes sense. Protected spots for ships.
Exactly. And then you have the surrounding waters. The Arctic Ocean up north, the Atlantic to the west, the Mediterranean Sea down south.
And the boundaries with Asia.
Those are more land-based or defined by smaller seas. You've got the Ural Mountains, the Caucasus Mountains, the Black Sea, and the Caspian Sea, forming that eastern separation from Asia.
And Africa.
Separated by the Mediterranean,
Yeah.
and specifically the very narrow Strait of Gibraltar.
Right. So this amazing geography, the harbors, the distinct regions, it must have really shaped the political map, too.
Undeniably.
Yeah.
You see it just in the number of countries, 44 nations packed into that space.
And most of them are relatively small, aren't they?
Many are, yes. And that political map, it's not static. It's changed dramatically, even quite recently. Think about the breakup of the former USSR,
The reunification of Germany.
the division of Yugoslavia,
Yeah.
all leading to the creation of many new nations, relatively speaking.
It's constantly shifting.
It really is. And to help make sense of it, we often group countries regionally. It reflects shared history or just, being neighbors.
Like the Scandinavian countries.
Right. Norway, Sweden, Finland, often known for their social models. Then you have the lowland countries, Belgium, the Netherlands, famous for trade and canals.
West Europe, UK, France, Central Europe.
Germany, Italy, Hungary, places like that. Down on the Iberian Peninsula, you have Spain and Portugal,
The Balkan states, Romania, Greece.
and the Baltic States, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, plus other ways to group them, like the British Isles or the Mediterranean countries. It just helps navigate the diversity.
And speaking of diversity, the contrasts are just incredible. You've got Russia, the biggest country in the world, partly in Europe, partly in Asia.
Stretching across 11 time zones.
And then at the absolute other end of the scale, Vatican City, the world's smallest country. What's the population? Tiny.
Just around 800 people, tucked entirely inside Rome.
Incredible. And if you're looking for the largest country entirely within Europe,
That would be France.
okay. Now, I read something fascinating about Monaco.
Monaco.
Yeah.
Yes, it's quite something. Second smallest nation in the world after the Vatican.
But incredibly dense population-wise.
The most densely populated, actually. About 25,000 people packed into every square kilometer. It's famous, of course, for its casinos, millionaires.
High-end cars, yachts.
Exactly. And another interesting city fact. Istanbul, in Turkey. It's the only city on Earth that literally sits on two continents.
Europe and Asia.
Correct. And it's also Europe's most populated city, around 16 million people. Huge.
And on a different note, the International Court of Justice is in Europe too, right?
Yes, in The Hague, in the Netherlands. A sort of symbol of international law.
Okay, so beyond the nations and cities, let's look at the land itself, the physical landscape. You mentioned 4 main regions.
Broadly speaking, yes. We can divide it into the Northwestern Highlands, the Central Plains, the Central Highlands, and the Alpine Mountain system down south.
Got it. So the Northwestern Highlands,
No.
what are they like?
These are basically Europe's oldest mountains, old fold mountains that have been worn down significantly, especially by the Ice Age glaciers. So now they're mostly low, rounded hills.
Okay. Anything particular striking about them?
Definitely. What's fascinating here is the formation of fjords.
Ah, the famous fjords. Norway, Scotland.
Exactly. These are deep valleys carved out by glaciers, which then flooded with seawater as the ice retreated. It makes the coastline incredibly indented, really dramatic.
Beautiful. Okay, then a Central European plains.
These are vast, really vast. They stretch pretty much from the Atlantic coast all the way east to the Ural Mountains in Russia.
And they're fertile, I assume.
Exceptionally fertile. They were formed largely by silt, nutrient-rich material deposited by those retreating glaciers, and also laid down by huge rivers like the Rhine, the Danube, and the Volga.
So great for farming.
Absolutely. And within this huge plain, you have some specific, smaller, well-known basins like the London Basin or the Paris Basin.
Right. Then south of the plains, the Central Highlands.
Yes, this is more of a mixed plateaus, older mountain blocks. Importantly, this region holds major coal reserves.
Which connects back to the Industrial Revolution we talked about.
Precisely. And then finally, you hit the Alpine mountain system in the south.
The Alps, the Pyrenees, those big ones.
Exactly. This is a chain of relatively young fold mountains. Geologically young means high peaks, steep slopes, deep valleys, very dramatic scenery.
And volcanically active in places?
Yes, particularly in Italy. You have famous active volcanoes like Mount Vesuvius near Naples, Mount Etna in Sicily, and Mount Stromboli, which is constantly erupting on its own island. Earthquakes are also pretty common in this region.
Wow. And the highest peaks in Europe are found here.
Well, Mont Blanc in the Alps is the highest peak in the Alps at about 4,807 meters. But the actual highest point in geographical Europe is Mount Elbrus at 5,642 meters.
Where's that?
It's in the Caucasus Mountains, right on that border between Europe and Asia we discussed.
Got it. Now, Europe also seems to have a lot of important rivers.
It really does. An extensive river system, absolutely vital for transport and trade throughout history. The Volga is the longest river on the continent.
And the Rhine. I always hear about the Rhine.
The Rhine is famously one of the busiest inland waterways in the entire world, crucial for industry.
And are most rivers easy to travel on?
Yes, a key feature is that most European rivers are navigable for significant lengths. And importantly, they're often connected by canals.
Ah, creating a whole network.
Exactly, a really important transport network, especially for moving goods. And it's not just rivers. Northern Europe especially is just dotted with lakes. Thousands upon thousands of them.
Finland, right. The
Yeah.
land of 1,000 lakes.
That's the nickname, though it actually has closer to 180,000 lakes, believe it or not.
Wow. And the biggest lake.
The largest freshwater lake in Europe is Lake Ladoga, over in Russia.
Okay. And before we move off geography, you mentioned something about a seed vault.
Ah, yes. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault. It's located way up north in Norway on an Arctic island. It's this incredibly secure facility built into a mountainside.
What's its purpose?
It's basically a global backup for the world's crop diversity. Seeds from all over the planet are stored there as a safeguard against, natural disasters, conflicts, diseases, anything that could wipe out important plant varieties.
That's incredible. A kind of insurance policy for global agriculture.
Pretty much, yes. A really unique and vital place.
So we've covered this immense history, the unique geography, the political shifts. What does this all mean for daily life in Europe today?
Well, it paints a picture of arguably one of the most developed continents globally.
High standard of living, generally.
Generally, yes. You find a highly educated population, good standards of living in most places, world-class colleges and universities.
Which obviously produced many of those scientists and thinkers we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. It's a continuous thread. And culturally, it's just incredibly rich. You have multiple languages, distinct cultures, cheek by jowl, diverse cuisines.
And Europeans seem to travel a lot within Europe.
They do. They're generally fond of travel, and the transport system, trains, planes, roads, is excellent, making it easy to hop between these famous cities. London, Paris, Berlin, Rome, Madrid, Moscow, Athens. The list is long.
You really see history and modern life blending together.
You absolutely do. And you see specific cultural or natural highlights that really represent different countries.
Like the Netherlands. Tulips and windmills.
Iconic, aren't they? They produce something like 4.3 billion tulip bulbs every year.
Yeah.
And the windmills, like at Kinderdijk, which is a UNESCO site, aren't just pretty. They tell a story of centuries of water management.
Right, reclaiming land from the sea. What about Spain?
Olives. Spain produces more than half of the entire world's olive supply. It's fundamental to their culture and cuisine.
Italy. Colosseum, obviously.
A new wonder of the world, yes.
Yeah.
And the Leaning Tower of Pisa, both incredible feats of ancient and medieval engineering and just fascinating stories behind them.
France, beyond Paris.
Well, Paris is huge, of course, with the Eiffel Tower and Notre Dame, which brings its own story. Remember the terrible fire in 2019?
Yes, that was awful to watch.
It was. But the global reaction, the pledges to restore it, really showed its cultural significance worldwide. And France is also a hub for high-tech engineering, building Airbus planes, the Rafale fighter jets.
Germany is famous for cars, right?
Absolutely. High-end cars known globally, Audi, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Porsche. Precision engineering is a hallmark.
And Iceland seems very different.
Very different. Land of fire and ice. Known for using geothermal energy water from geysers and hot springs, heats homes, powers those amazing outdoor geothermal baths.
Like the Blue Lagoon.
Exactly. Plus, stunning natural beauty. Glaciers, huge waterfalls, those dramatic fjords again.
It sounds like just despite the diversity, there's a high quality of life in many of these places.
That seems to be reflected in global surveys. You mentioned the World Happiness Report for 2024.
Finland at #1 again, 7th year running.
7th year, yes. And it's not just Finland. Look at the top ranks. Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, the Netherlands, Luxembourg. Lots of European countries dominating.
Ireland, Germany, Belgium, the UK are up there too.
It suggests many European nations have found a way to balance economic progress with social well-being and, well, happiness.
So if we try to connect all these threads, the history, the geography, the culture.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, It really seems clear how Europe's deep, often turbulent history, combined with its unique geographical features like that incredibly long, indented coastline facilitating trade and its generally temperate climate,
All those factors work together.
profoundly.
Hmm.
They didn't just shape its past economic and political dominance, they continue to influence its modern economic strength, its innovation, and its incredibly rich cultural identity today. It's a continent that's constantly had to adapt and reinvent itself.
It's been an incredible journey through Europe, so much depth beneath the surface,
Absolutely.
which leaves you, the listener, with maybe a final thought to ponder. Thinking about everything we've discussed, how does Europe's unique past, its specific geography, its role as this cradle of both amazing innovation and devastating conflict, how does all that offer insights into the complex web of global relations and cultural exchange that we see all around us in the world today?